It's this. Okay, cool. So we had a slight technical difficulty there, but basically where we were was Travis was explaining to us about Sheffield's just style of play and who would be attracted to wanting to play that kind of ball. Trav.
Yeah, thanks for that, Don. I definitely think like the reason Sheffield is so good is how they work as a unit. So you can pretty much see like every player works for the one next to them. So when they're going forward, like everyone's sort of going forward. And when they're defending, everyone's defending. And they definitely seem to like work a lot with not the ball. So I think in order for them to attract a top player, they have to change their style of play. And just with that, that'd be very risky for a small club because I know just in my history of watching the Premiership, the small clubs that play attacking football last maybe 1 or 2 seasons in the Premiership and then they go down. And the ones that play the more stubborn football like Sheffield, they're the ones that can survive a little bit longer. So I think definitely for them, the struggle is going to be to attract the players that can just broaden their squad a little bit more so they don't have to pick such a similar side every game.
Well, I'm sorry, I just judged them really badly when they signed Jack Rodwell. And then, like, I'm really not a fan of that.
Favorite person.
And no. And the only reason I'm saying that is I watched Sheffield, Sunderland till I die. And what that guy did was just, dude, like he's evil. He's chilling there with Thanos. I don't like him. It's just what it is. So like that's just my whole thing with Sheffield. But again, I'll still go back to what kind of players would they attract? Are would say an Ashley Young who's playing in Italy at the moment wants to come back to England? Would he not maybe be interested in playing there? Or maybe let's have a look at the teams that have just been relegated. So Norwich is gone. What's that? Tom Cantwell. Would he maybe be an option to stay playing Premier League football?
I think he's one of the few that should stay from Norwich. Pookie's had a terrible end to the season, whereas he started off like wildfire. I mean, it was a Pookie body. He was scoring every single game. He looked the business, and now I think he's been exposed. Whereas Todd Cantwell is one of the few that I would probably want to stay in. Do I want him at Liverpool? No, but as a sub option, he's a very solid, very creative.
I actually like just from like a goalkeeper's perspective, we don't know really what's happening with Dean Henderson. So like someone like Krul, he's not the greatest goalkeeper. He can do a decent job at somewhere like Sheffield, because Dean Henderson, he's still on loan, so it's up in the air what his future actually is.
And will he go to Manchester United? That's the other question.
Yeah, well,
you're playing second fiddle to De Gea. That's the facts.
Here's a whole different kettle of fish that we're about to open.
Yeah. We won't get up to that chat today.
Before Trav gets into this, I think it's just very important to let some people know. Trav is not only a sick outfield player, defender, doesn't matter what we're talking about, but Trav, his sort of speciality comes at the goalkeeping position. He used to play goalkeeper.
Yeah, for sure.
Very reluctantly for us, but he did such a good job that no one wanted him out of goal, really. He did such a great job. So a lot of Trav's analysis starts at the goalkeeper. So it's funny that he mentions Krul.
Straight off the bat. That was his
goalkeeper.
That's why Trav is married, because he's a keeper. No, okay.
There's a Don joke.
Let's get back to Sheffield now, because I'm still like, okay, cool, because they need to strengthen the squad. They need to get more players, but they're not going to be attracting those players. So I'm just like, hit the lowest lying fruit, and those are the guys that want to play Premier League football. Now you get a chance to not only just play Premier League, but you can also play Europe with Sheffield, possibly. Is
I think
an option?
Well, I'm thinking of players.
Callum Wilson.
Yeah,
Callum
I was
Wilson.
thinking he's a decent striker. He can definitely put the ball in the net. He's definitely slightly different to like McBurney or McGoldrick or whoever else they play up top. That young kid from Bournemouth, I think it's David Brooks or something.
Great.
He's got a lot of talent, and in a side like that, like a Sheffield that's pretty settled, it'll be nice for him to, come off the bench and get like 15, 20 minutes and build his way into the squad. Because I think at Bournemouth, he's more like thrust into it because they literally don't have many options.
Okay.
So
I reckon that's the best shot so far. I do.
Well, I'm just.
I do.
It's not like they've got. They don't have an oil billionaire that's looking after the club. And that's a proper English club. Like, English football is at the strongest it's been in a very long time. Why not? Where else do you go fishing? I know Leeds is also, they've recently been promoted, so they're going to be shopping around like crazy. But
what about the Fulhams of the world? Maybe someone like Mitrovic. Maybe Cyrus Christie. But then again, their defense is so sorted. I wouldn't want to mess things up. But
it's a decent defense, but they need more goals. They need an out.
I reckon. Yeah, like Callum Wilson is actually a great shot. He's actually a great shot, Trav. David Brooks is another great shot. Cantwell is another one, like we've said.
Ryan
They
Fraser.
need creativity.
Ryan, and you'll pick up Ryan Fraser on a free.
Who?
Ryan Fraser.
Oh, the contract rebel, the prima donna. I highly doubt he's gonna swap Bournemouth for Sheffield, but maybe to stay in the league, that's what he might have to do. Good shot though, very good shot, because he's underutilized.
And I'll tell you where it was. My research went, how am I going to be able to do good business? I need to strengthen my squad. I don't have money. The first place I'm going to go and have a look at is the free agents. Okay?
All the relegated.
I've got European money coming in, and I've got Premier League money coming in. I'm trying to think now, just off the top of my head now, Thiago Silva, he's on a free at the moment. Edison Cavani, Olivier Giroud, Willian, Layvin Kurzawa, and Thomas Meunier from PSG, Jan Vertonghen, Adam Lallana, David Silva, Dries Mertens. Big names that you're going to be paying them like quite a large salary. And how are you going to be able to draw these guys? Probably not. Probably not.
Can you imagine David Silva? Imagine David Silva at Sheffield. It just won't work.
Stranger things have happened.
You're right. But I like where you're going with that, because if you look at those free agents that are available, that's pretty impressive. Maybe Lallana. Maybe they can tag Lallana. Who knows?
He's English. Lallana would probably slot in well there.
He would be the most creative player they've ever seen.
But they need to
they can also go to like some of the, like not necessarily the lower leagues, but some of the smaller European leagues. So you can often find it back in the Dutch league or like the set version or something in the Germany that will do pretty well in like a mid-table English side.
Yeah.
So I think they are very clever in how they go in the transfer market. And that's probably why they have so many British players, is because it's a lot easier to do business like within Britain than trying to venture elsewhere.
Okay, so all in all, like final verdicts on Sheffield's, like well done, great defense. I don't foresee them doing any better than what they've done currently.
I would have picked them for relegation ahead of Norwich.
For sure.
I would have.
Ahead of Bournemouth.
Ahead of Bournemouth. Bournemouth is probably one of the biggest surprises we've seen. And it's probably one of the most underrated things
Mm.
in the Premier League at the moment. They were like killers last season. They were giant killers last season. And now I play a lot of fantasy leagues. So whoever's playing Bournemouth, I captain. Double points, guaranteed goals. Like, so, I mean, my final verdict on Sheffield, as you say, work as a team. Their defense is great. But the problem is that they're playing, or they're playing their highest scorer from a bench. Trav was talking while we were offline for a bit. He mentioned
Yeah.
Liz would say is probably their best attacking option. So now I'm what Trav has said, but it's right. I think he's got 8 goals. Trav,
I can double check it, but
I think he's got about 8 goals, 7 or 8 goals, and he's consistently benched and played in the last 10 to 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Remember, he's on loan. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to note their best attacker is on the bench every game.
Trev, final thoughts?
My final thoughts for Sheffield are they punched a lot, like above their weight belt, like in this season. I definitely think with their style of football, they can survive in the Premiership for a couple more years. It's just trying to find the consistency that doesn't push them the wrong way into the 4 of the table next season.
And I think the worst thing that could possibly happen to them is actually qualifying for Europe.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I say that look, they'll have more money, but it's again that attractive power that they've got.
Who are they going to attract?
No, exactly. Speaking of attraction, I'd like to next topic of conversation. Thanks to Trav for wearing his Wolverhampton Wanderers shirt today. This is a very hot topic because this is a team that I like very much. Dave feels exactly the same way, Trav, and I think you also kind of feel the same. You've got a very young team, I think average age 24, 25 years old, so they've got a solid foundation there. They've got decent players with a good Portuguese heritage, and more importantly, they've got a really strong coach. So Trav, take it away. Let's get your thoughts on Wolves.
So, I am a Manchester United fan through and through, but working here in the States, I've met a lot of people from different areas. And actually, one of my best friends from England is a Wolves fan. And in 2013, I went to go watch a game in Bradford in England, Wolves against Bradford. And their fans, when they win the championship, they take it to another level. And I think over the last couple of years, they've definitely brought that through the Premiership. And you can see, Don, you mentioned the Portuguese contingent. Portuguese national team is doing really well the last couple of years. So if you can get any Portuguese player in your side, and definitely a couple of them, then you're definitely on the right track. And they've got a great goal scorer in Jimenez.
Yes. The biggest problem I've got with Wolves is the fact that Rui Patricio wears the number 11. Why, goalkeeper? Why do you wear 11?
Must be sentimental.
Dude, I can't do that.
He borderline, because he wears number 11, he makes me one of the favorite goalkeepers in the league.
I'm just you're so good at being number 1 that you've got to put it down twice.
Yeah.
I think, and what's important to note as well, obviously this is a joke, but I think he's conceded less than 11 goals. He's also been fantastic in goals. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's around 4th or 5th in terms of clean sheets. So Rui Patricio, I mean, it's weird when you think about it. You got Matinho, you've got Neves, you've got Patricio. That's quite a big contingent of the Portugal side right there.
Yes, no, exactly. I just want to.
And Neves was hot property when he signed for Wolves. That was a huge decision for him. I think he could have had a lot of clubs knocking. And I think he did. And he just chose Wolves. He was like, this is my side. I'm joining them. I love them.
I think I think one of the things is their coach plays a huge part in it. So I don't know how you say his name.
Espirito Santo.
Yeah, Banter. So like he's played a big part in drawing those players in. And I think another player you got to mention is Adama Traore.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think he was the obvious pick, eh?
He's the
On his day,
second obvious.
on his day, that guy can like tear anyone up. And I think he's improved his game at like getting past people. He always had blitz pace and he always had decent skill. But the amount of balls that he's actually putting into the box, I'm not sure exactly on the stats, but the games like I'll watch a couple of the highlights.
Yeah, just hold up. I got a bit of lag here. I got a bit of signals dropping. Just hold on.
I saw at least 4 or 5 decent balls into the box, which means
remember I told you guys I played the draft American style fantasy. So I got kicked out this weekend or this past week basically. I made it to the semis, got kicked out. I had 0 chance against the guy I was playing. But interestingly enough, the other guy in the final, he was saying when we were linked with Werner that he'd rather get Traore. He'd rather get Traore instead of Werner. So that's how much this guy rates Adama Traore. Like Werner is just such a big name. I can't agree with him. I don't think I agree with him, but he's not far off from the truth. I mean, Traore would be a
is Traore has been in the Premiership and he's played in the Premiership, right? Timo Werner has been in the Bundesliga, so the German league. I'm not saying he's not a top class prospect, but it's a very different kettle of fish, the Premiership.
Oh, for sure.
That's why Traore would probably potentially be more of a first pick, just in the fact that he can do it most weeks in the Premiership.
He's proven. I mean, even with Middlesbrough, they would bring him on and he would just change the game. You're like, whoa, who is this person? I remember my brother he was quite new to football. And he was like, I didn't really watch much this weekend, but that Traore light is blitz. He's got a shot on it. Like, why aren't we looking at him? So very, very interesting. He's hot property at the moment. I mean, what would you guys value him at in the market?
80 ball
right now.
80 million.
How much?
80.
Yeah. I thought you said 30. I was going to be like, are you mad? Like, are you...
No.
70.
That being said, though, look, he's still young. He's strong. Originally a right wing back, now kind of converted to right wing. We've seen the progress of the likes of Gareth Bale that's done it and became really prolific. I think he's just going to use his pace there. I don't look. He definitely rates himself. I like you and Lincoln. We were talking now about him and Timo Werner, 2 completely different players. Werner's straight down the middle. Look, they've both got one thing in common, and that's a bit of pace. You know, you bring Adama into your squad, you're going to leave Salah on the bench, kind of story.
But
I think it's a no-brainer. I'm like, yes, of course, let Salah go.
That's quite a call, Don. That's controversial, I think.
Probably, but again, the podcast is, I hate to say I told you so, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is.
And no view should be shut down. Look, I'd play one half. That's just, I don't know. I can't really separate. Well, you can separate the two on stats, but the impact that Traore has, I'd play Salah first half. As 60 minutes comes, I'd bring on Traore. Like as it is.
So he's not at Liverpool, and he will never go to Liverpool. He's currently at Wolves. So like, let's try and keep it at Wolves for now. Sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah,
I took it there.
So I also want to do the same thing. I always want to like imagine them in a Liverpool kit, what I would do, you know. So maybe
I think
we gotta round it in.
it's very interesting to look at Wolves, because if you watch the game against Burnley, so Burnley have been like a really strong side. Like they drew against Liverpool, you know, Pope's playing awesome, so they got like a decent setup. But I watched that game, or the highlights of the game, and they were very unfortunate that they got a last minute penalty conceded against them. Like you can say whatever it isn't a penalty. That's like a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But they were winning the game until like the 93rd, 94th minute. So, and from a great goal from Jimenez. I don't know if you saw that volley. That was
Damn it,
world-class.
I missed it. Okay.
And then like I just think like with like Wolves at the current time, like they like sixth in the league, which is that's golden, and they're doing really well in the Europa this season. So I think for them,
and they've got money,
and they've actually got a decent squad. Like when you look at their team, I look at it and I'm like, okay, like you got like Jimenez, like Neto, and like Jota that are like, for me, like the really quality play, like guys going forward. But then in like the midfield, like they've obviously got their main starters like Matinho and Neves, but they got Dendonka, I think, from Germany. He's decent. Yeah, Matt Doherty is like a decent player as well. So it's like
solid. Yeah.
So they've got a decent squad for like what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. My problem is with them. So Raul Jimenez gets injured.
Yeah.
What do we do? Look, I'm always looking at depth because this is a European team. That's what we're having a look at. Arsenal right now is not geared up to play European football. We don't have the squad. We hardly have the squad to prep for Premier League. Now, Wolves, on the other hand, have got money. They've got the stadium. They've got a youthful squad that they can really build on. And they've got a coach that is really bringing out the best out of his players. I mean, Arsenal almost brought him to the Emirates. So obviously, naturally, I'm a fan. Okay? So now I'm going to ask the same question, lads. Same question. Cool, here we are. We're playing European football. We're doing well in Europe at the moment. How are we going to bolster our squad, and who are we going to bring in? Because I think Wolves are attractive enough, they play good enough football to maybe want to bring in one or two big names. Like Dries Mertens, I could see in the Wolves jersey.
Okay. Dries Mertens at Wolves. Yeah, that would be sick. I would love that. I'd absolutely love that if that could happen. Because I've always rated him. Always. I just, it depends on whether he would want to go to Wolves, of course, which I don't think so.
I think that's a tough one. He's a really top player. And I'm not saying Wolves on a top club.
Still got it.
Yeah.
If he fits his style, whose place is he going to take?
Probably Jota.
Nothing.
I would
mix it up. You could play.
I'd probably take Jota.
Play Jimenez and Mertens up front together. You could play 4-4-2.
Because they also play a 4-4-2. Sheffield and Wolves play 4-4-2. And let's just put this out there. It's probably why they're doing well. Managers, listen, it's probably why they're doing well. A 4-4-2 is not folklore, it's not history, it's proven formula for success. I don't understand why 4-4-2 is not played anymore.
Well, I think the 4-4-2 has gone out in recent years because you only have two strikers. And people want 3-4 strikers. Like, it's a whole thing of lots of goals. But when you look at, a lot of, the championship sides or the sides that have done well, when you have two strikers and they actually work really well together, it's a lot easier for someone else to slot in. Whereas when you've got three, if you lose one part of the cog, the other it's very hard for the third person to like slot in. So I think that's an advantage to have.
Look at Liverpool.
Old saying, three's
Case
a crowd. Three's a crowd. That's it. Except, yeah, this is fun. So who do we bring in? Who do we bring in, boys? Who do we bring in?
Someone like maybe you know who I've got my eye on, and no one talks about him anymore. And I think I might have mentioned him in the last podcast. I'm a huge fan. Is Javier Pastore. He's the sort of player that could go to a Wolves. He's not getting much game time at Roma. He would be that creative spark that midfield would need. He would create that connection between the strikers and midfield, a good creative influence. So he would be an undercover pick. And I would think that Pastore could actually join Wolves. I don't think it's completely out of time.
No.
He could be my pick.
Look, if Johan Kabay can leave PSG for Crystal Palace, I think there's a lot of things that can happen. And again, I rate Wolves, gents. I rate Wolves. They play a very attractive style of football, very attacking. You know, I think they can be 2 goals down and they can still be in it. You know, they can come back, they can hurt you quick. 1, 2, 3 on the counter attack, they'll be there. Again, it's a bit of squad depth. I do think they need to get 1 or 2 big names. The nice thing about them is they've created some big names. Adama Traore wasn't a big name until he came to Wolves. We all heard of the lad, but he's really...
Just that pace.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we knew.
Jimenez, also the same thing. Had a bit of rep behind him, but has really made a name for himself in the Premier League. Ruben Neves, okay, he's been with the squad since they got since championship days. Solid player. João Moutinho, solid in the Portuguese setup. I mean, won the Europa, what's that, Cup? Anyways. Who else are you going to bring into the squad? Who would you want to see Santos bring in? Okay, so we've got Pastore. Trav, who do you see bringing in?
It's the tough thing. I think like they have like such a close-knit squad at the moment. I know they're players, but they don't exactly have a lot of cash to splash. I think potentially going for like one of the teams that are going down, like, I don't know. I know, like, again, it's the same thing as like Moutinho and Neves don't play. Then you do have Dendoncker, but like he's not quite as good as those two, I don't think. So I think it's definitely a creative midfield, and they need cover at the back.
I was about to say
that back three, and Rui Patricio plays like every game. Like there's no change, like nothing, which is awesome. And I think that's why they can do what they do, but it's also a little change. So I'd definitely be looking for like a centre half of some form, just so you can have a little bit of change in the back three.
Nathan Ake from Bournemouth.
Yeah, like
maybe.
Like I've heard a lot of people rating Ake or Ake and
whatever, yeah.
Like, just for me, he's had his chance at the bigger clubs and he didn't prove it. He was at Chelsea, I think, for a little bit, and he's good. Yes, he's big, he's physical, he's got speed, but it's like his decision making, which I think isn't always up to scratch. He wouldn't be a bad like backup, like bench player. Yeah. But I don't think I don't think he would be able to fight. What's it, Cody, Saïs, or Bowley out of the lineup?
No, it's very and I think, I don't know, I might stand at a correction, but I think you pronounce it Coady. I always want to say Cody, but I think it's Coady. But he's a Scarza, like full on. Sorry, it just had to be mentioned.
But then maybe they want to sub him, if you know what I mean, and get a new guy in. You never know.
But he's the most consistent player in the Premier League. I don't think he's missed a single minute of Premier League action. I don't think he's missed a single minute.
That's
If you look at his fantasy, his 90 minutes just down. What was that, Don?
No, I said that's all good and well. There's only a handful of players that can play every minute of every single game before something goes wrong. It's inevitable. You can't play a full 90 minutes and not make a mistake for 36 games or 38 games in the Premier League. You're going to slip up, and that's kind of, again, we'll touch on the depth of the squads. Look again, and
this is where Wolves.
Transfers. I like talking transfers. I like to see who's coming in, what are the potentials. Would they mix well with the team? And I still think they need maybe one or two like top players. Again, I'll throw in the Dries Mertens card. He'll come in for nothing. So he'll have a high wage, but he'll definitely carry his weight. Especially now since you've qualified for Europe, they're probably going to qualify again. So you're guaranteed European football, and that's kind of once.
I think it is possible for them to attract some big names. It's just when I think of but then again, as you say, weirder things have happened. It's just when I think of Mertens, I just think of. I mean, at a stage, I was like dying for him to come to Liverpool. Like, he's just such a deadly striker. I can't imagine him leaving Napoli for Wolves. Just can't see it happening. Can't, unless he's getting benched consistently these days, which I don't think is the case.
His contract is up. Sorry.
Okay.
His contract is up.
Oh, damn.
That's it. And the names I mentioned, Nana, their contracts are up. Willian, contract up.
Yeah.
Thiago Silva,
Williams.
contract. No, look, Willian will still start in. He'll still get you the points. He's going to come at probably a higher wage. You're probably looking at paying him 80 to 100K a week. But he'll sell shirts. He's a bit of a Chelsea legend. He'll sell shirts. People want to see him come and play. I'm trying to think. Where's the other names I got here? Let me just check.
Silva.
David Silva, I don't see that happening.
No, not I really don't.
It's perfect, but yeah, it's not realistic. I think he's probably going to go back to Spain.
Yeah. For Tongan, juice up the back.
He's past his sell-by date.
I was about to sing his praises, Trav. I was about to sing his praises. I love Vertonghen.
I love Vertonghen. I did love him, but I just think a certain coach can bring our players level down a little bit, and Vertonghen, any Belgian player is actually pretty decent at the moment. So I can see that, but I just think, again, he's a starting centre half. I find it very hard for him to go to Wolves and sit on the bench. I used to rate him as best, but he's probably out the top 10.
I think he's out of the
top 5.
But he's still very solid. I actually think that's a great centre back shot, Don.
You'll get for free. For free.
It is. Wolves would be daft, but then again, who's he going to ask? He's definitely not taking Kouady's spots. It's got to be Bolly or Saiss, or however you pronounce his name. You've got to. I can't see him in a Wolves kit. I can't.
Do you know who you can see?
That's why it's so cool to speculate.
What's that?
Trev?
No, I said that's why it's so cool to speculate, because you mentioned Kabaya to Palace. No one saw that coming. Even Andy Carroll to Liverpool. There's a couple of transfers. Di Maria to Manchester United. I get the reason for the players moving around, but when you actually look at it, sometimes they just don't fit into the setup. I think he would be great because he provides that depth for Wolves. And they have decent depth, but I think I always go back to the goalkeeper and defenders. Because no, if you lose Tahadi for a game, right? I think they're going to struggle quite hard to replace him, if you know what I mean. And someone like Vertonghen, hey, that's a little different players, but not a bad replacement.
He's also coming with a lot of experience. So I think like when David Luiz was also a shock acquisition that Arsenal made 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. But what he has brought up is, so he's brought his experience because he's played in multiple World Cups. I mean, he's won Champions Leagues. He's won Premier Leagues. He's won La Liga. No, not La Liga. What's it? Ligue 1.
And
So
I think he did something with Benfica as well.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is he's been brought in now to kind of mentor the likes of Rob Holding, Callum Chambers, those guys. And I can definitely see the difference that he's made. So for Tongan, bring him in, he'll kind of have the same impact.
Yeah.
More mentor playing, you've got that other aspect.
And he's played Champions League football, which is,
Yeah.
if Wolves want to try and get there, you need that experience. You need the people that have actually been there and done it for a couple of years.
Exactly. And do you know who's played quite a bit of Champions League football? Mario Götze from Dortmund. And I say this with a purpose because he's also a free agent. He's out of contract. And he could slot in very nicely into the Wolves setup.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Santo is not scared of an experienced midfielder, obviously. If you look at the majority of that midfield, barring probably Neto, Traore, they're mostly experienced. You know, Neves, Matinho. Now you get a Götze. Not a bad shot. It's just that illness, I think, that is stopping everyone from getting in.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's definitely a good shot, though. And I think, like, looking at the potential free agents is a huge thing where teams that, like, Wolves have a very awesome backing, but they don't necessarily have the greatest financial backing. Not like the other, like, top 4 or top 5 clubs. So, Götze, if you can get his 2014 self and throw him into the Wolves side, but he's still class. He's come from Dortmund. Dortmund churn out youngsters. They know what they're doing, the football players. So that thing is actually for Wolves, and even, like we mentioned, Sheffield, go to the Bundesliga. I guarantee now you're going to find very technically gifted players that can potentially...
Oh, well, I mean...
Yeah.
No,
the Bundesliga is churning out talent at the moment. Churning
probably
them.
The most sought after young.
Just getting them.
Besides Mbappe, he's number 1.
I don't know.
He's like the number 1 youngster in the world.
What after dude Mbappe is just in a league of his own.
Obviously.
He hasn't. I think he's still too young. He's played for Leverkusen. He's done really well there. Let's see what he can do in a big club with big names around him. Then I'll be impressed. Yep. No.
Look. What about? So let's think about some other German players. You know, there's a striker that I'm always looking at every single week. He plays for Mönchengladbach. Is that I don't know how to say his surname right, but Alassane Plie or Plie? Alassane. The French striker. Look, the thing is, it's between Mönchengladbach and he's played for both. He's played for Gladbach and I think he's played for Leverkusen as well.
Decent player, Frenchman.
Look at his stats. I wouldn't mind seeing that guy in the Premier League at Wolves or something like that.
I actually like what Trav said. Go take your shopping cart and go and see what's happening in like RB Leipzig. I don't know what the hell those guys have done, but they've generated a team out of nothing. So maybe you guys in the Bundesliga. I didn't even think of that. You know, the first thing I did was, okay, where am I going to be able to do good business? Who am I going to pick up for nothing? I've got to pay wages anyways. And that's kind of, I went straight back to, okay, who's out of contract? And no, then I got thinking about Wolves. Who would I like to see? I'm a Wolves, let's just say I'm a Wolves supporter. I'm in charge. I need to attract 2 big names. And I was just like, okay, cool. If I had to go and do it, I'd make a serious bid for Dries Mertens. Come in. You're going to be playing European football. Okay? I could start you every other game. And Mario Götze, here you go. You're out of contract. Come play in the Premier League. Sign a 2-year contract with me. Let's see what happens. See if you like it, if you don't like it. Because you're going to get a lot of game time. Like, we're in the, not necessarily a squad rotational player, but, you know, you could really throw the things around there. One time he's on the bench and he's coming on, he's making an impact. And it's just about managing those players' expectations of where it is and what role they need to fulfill.
Sure. I mean, can you imagine a Wolves with Mertens, just in case? I mean, that would be insane, Don. If Santo could pull that off, I mean, he would probably guarantee himself and Wolves Champions League football for another season. So if that could happen, geez, I mean, I'd love to see what damage those.
Wolves want to compete in the Champions League. If they want to compete in the top leagues, what anything has taught us is you need to spend a little bit, or you need to have a youth academy that's going to back you. They don't have that. They need to now throw the kitchen sink and start acquiring some good talent. That's the long and the short of it. It's not a case of, you know, we've got a couple of solid players just so that we can float around mid-table. No, they could be challenging, but they need to make the bids for those good players. The Dries Mertens, he's towards the end of his tether, but you could still squeeze another 4 years out of a guy. You could probably squeeze an extra 15 goals out of him. Götze could come in and slot an extra maybe 10 or 12 for you. You're up 27 goals in a season with Raul Jimenez. Are you joking? Are you telling me that team couldn't be chasing down top 4?
Easy. With their solid sort of backbone and tactics as it is, if you bring in 2 they were world-class players at one stage. I think the sky could be the limit for Wolves. I really do. But I think what we probably lack to speak about is well, we've mentioned him quite a bit, but Santo's the reason why they are as good as they are at the moment. He's just made such a huge impact there. Raul Jimenez, can you believe it? I was looking at stats, and it seems quite obvious, but he is their all-time leading scorer in the Premier League. That's 2 seasons. He scored 30 goals, and he's their top Premier League goal scorer.
But they spend money on him.
Their top. You want to know their top assist is Moutinho. Moutinho's got 14, and he's the record holder. I mean, this is in a space of 2 years. I know, obviously, their tenure in the Premier League is quite young, but 30 goals, 2 seasons. That's it's not something not to be scoffed at.
The thing is, Wolves were a big club. Well, they're still a big club, but they were like a really big club. I think it was the 50s or 60s. They won like a couple of FA Cups and that.
Correct.
So they do have like a lot of like backing, like support-wise. It's just interesting because Wolves, like, yes, I think they can touch on Champions League football, but I think it's very challenging them to actually go for Champions League football, because if they do that, they could risk sliding down and dropping out the Premiership. It's a very hard line what they're going to play. Like, I think Europa definitely, and because I think if they go to Champions League, like then what's Don said, they have to get like those big players so they can survive, because otherwise, like, you're playing a tough game on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you've got a big Premiership game.
Yeah. So
they've been they killed Manchester City. Like, they've beat them, I think, twice. Like, they know how to win the big games.
Wolves is City side. They can't beat Wolves. They can't. It just doesn't, like, no matter what they do, they can't beat Wolves. And Adama Traore is typically the final nail in the coffin for them. Whatever he decides to do on the day. But look, in terms of that for Champions League, as you say, Trevor, I have to agree. Europa, that would be fine. But Champions League, they're going to have to bring in some major marquee signing. But obviously, just finding that balance is key. And you don't want to get such a big personality that they break that weird sort of humbleness that they have. You don't want to bring in a player like, I don't know. Imagine you had to bring in like a Lewandowski, change things altogether. I know that would never happen.
One of my thoughts, I was just thinking of it now because it's thinking of like the tier league. Like I know he's been linked, but he's been linked to bigger clubs. But like he's a decent footballer that I'm not sure if he's yet ready for like a top club. So potentially like throw that in the works. Like I don't know if he fits the style or not, but it's Dutch, so he can pass the ball, if you know what I mean, and he's very skillful. No,
well, it's whilst I have to agree. I mean, but Ajax is getting poached. Like right now, they've let go of Ziyech and Bergwijn.
Yeah.
You can imagine. Can you imagine the premium that Donny van de Beek would have to go?
But that's unfortunately what Ajax is. It's almost similar to Dortmund
like
in a way, in the fact that their academies are so amazing. Like I know like England, like West Ham used to have a really good academy.
Southampton.
Southampton, and you look at the players. So unfortunately, what you do is, unless you're in the Champions League, they moving away quite quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like.
Valid points, lads. Valid points. But okay, cool. I think that we're gonna call it. My internet connectivity is so bad right now. Can you guys hear me?
No worries, but before we call it, we have to give you props for making your team going to the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Arsenal looking good. You guys are finishing the season really strong. I'm impressed and concerned at the same time.
Like we said quickly. You're like, I was actually surprised when Arsenal beat those teams. I'm surprised. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm surprised we went out and we closed off, especially the FA Cup thing. Look, we've got BMT. We've always had it with FA Cup. I don't think we've had a problem with winning those. But the fact that we're doing it and we're doing it well. And I mean, at one stage, Man City had 87% or 83% possession. We were just like, there you go. Go play with the ball, David Luiz. I'm going to just chill and sit back. So thank you. That's about it. Although I am going to make this official call. Thiago Silva is out of contract, and he will come to the Emirates and partner up with David Luiz again. It's my call.
No.
Bold, you got to think bold. You want what's best for your club. I like it.
He's coming to my club, Don. Sorry, bro.
You know, that'll be funny. He's going to land up at Wolves, and then we're all going to...
That would be great. Imagine we're like plotting what's happening here, and he joins Wolves. Yeah. I don't know. From what I've heard, he really does like the Liverpool setup. But as you say, we've seen weirder things. So Don, I'm hoping he joins. I'm hoping Thiago joins.
Be cool.
I'd love to see that. He would suit Arsenal.
Yeah. All right, cool guys. Trav, thanks for joining us. Dave, you biscuit, always a pleasure.
Trav, you're gonna take my spot, bro. You're gonna take my spot. I can see it happening.
Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks a lot, guys.